Today I would like to introduce you to the extraordinary DPE 100 and DPE Shield environmental protection products. Firstly, the letters DPE are an acronym for Defense of Planet Earth, and it is literally an earth-changing technology. I will explain this more later. However, at this point I will simply mention that the DPE devices are able to play a critical role in repairing the damage that has been done to our beautiful planet's biosphere. The DPE technology is designed to absorb excess energy and is operating on all frequencies from DC to gigahertz except 13.4 Hz. This frequency is protected because it is the vibration of life on Earth. Simply speaking, the DPE acts as a diode, and the action of a diode is to transfer energies in only one direction. In the case of the DPE, it is transferring these excess energies to the Earth, where they are neutralized. Testing has shown one device absorbing more than 8 megawatts of energy from the zone covered by the DPE 100, and this was in the measurable EMF band only. Much more energy was likely being absorbed outside of this band. Further, the energies absorbed across the protected zone of a DPE shield were shown to be 153 megawatts per day. It is easy to see why this device needs to be buried in the ground and well-earthed. Any portable device could not possibly replicate what is being done here. If you look at the device itself, it looks very simple. However, that apparent simplicity belies its careful design and sophistication. What is being achieved is unique and highly advanced. There are 3 models of the DPE. The DPE 100 protects a zone of 2 kilometers in radius and approximately 200 kilometers high. The DPE Shield protects an area 100 kilometers in radius and approximately 250 kilometers high. The DPE SE, or Symphony of the Earth, is much larger again than the DPE Shield and is designed for very large-scale protection. The maximum coverage radius of this device is currently being tested. Over time, primarily but not only because of human activity, the living environment on planet Earth has declined. In part, this is because so many trees have been removed from the planet with little understanding of their broader role. Apart from reducing the planetary oxygen levels, which has accelerated dramatically in recent years, trees have also played a role in stabilizing the environmental energies and weather, and their drastic reduction has had a great impact. Additionally, mankind has introduced a large array of broadcast technologies, whether they be for seemingly benign use or whether they be for military or broader control purposes, and these technologies have also dramatically disturbed our living environment and can significantly interfere with all forms of life, including humanity. Many health conditions, including leukemia and other forms of cancer, glandular and immune function, central nervous system function, and many others have been shown to correlate with this interference. Additionally, some of these and other factors have combined to trigger a dramatic increase in the frequency and severity of storms across the planet, and these are getting rapidly worse. It is this broad agenda that the DPE technology is designed to address. The benefits of the DPE devices include protection from violent weather, including localized cloudbursts, as well as tornadoes and even hurricanes, typhoons, and cyclones. Protection from environmental EMF pollution, from which some people already suffer, but which will become far more widespread with the rollout of the high-frequency bands that are part of 5G wireless technology. The reinstatement of the biospheric environment that existed on the planet 10,000 years ago. As you may recognize, the flora and fauna on the planet evolved for the most part hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years ago, and the changed biosphere and the environmental context does not support life as well as the historical one. And so the DPE technology fosters the growth of plants, the healing of the human body, and the clearing of pests that thrive in these changed energy conditions. Whilst we may tend to focus on the personal benefits of the DPE technology, it is important to recognise that we have a responsibility to foster the recovery of the planet's biosphere on a broader basis. Each DPE device which is installed normalizes a zone of 2 kilometers in radius for the DPE 100 and 100 kilometers radius for the DPE Shield, and also a zone which is 200 kilometers high and 250 kilometers high, respectively. When enough of these devices are deployed across the planet, their combined effect will be to normalize the biosphere and prevent further degradation of living conditions on the planet, which, if not interceded with, is forecast to lead to 6 months of hurricanes and 6 months of drought across most of the planet in a few short years. Perhaps the most graphic evidence is the prevention of storms. There are several examples in the detailed document at this link, which provides a detailed description of the DPE technology, its purposes and its effects, and I recommend that you read it several times as it contains a lot of information. However, let us examine some examples. These photos show a hurricane that formed over Italy on July 10, 2019, when no DPE was present. These next photos from August 2nd, 2019, after a DPE 100 was installed, show the cloud formation and atmospheric disturbance which would have created a hurricane, but its formation was prevented. On November 11, 2019, a powerful storm was forecast for much of Italy. Let us look at how a DPE Shield installation changed this forecast. This image shows the zone coverage of the DPE Shield, showing its zone of 100 kilometers radius, which covers a large part of southern Italy. Here we see the Italian Civil Protection Weather Alert of November 11, 2019 at 16:46. It indicates the maximum state of alert due to the clash between a large cold front arriving from the north with a hot one coming from Africa. With this type of alarm, the population is warned of the almost certainty of a catastrophic event. Therefore, the Civil Protection recommends people not go out, to stay on high and protected floors, to stay away from trees, high voltage cables and other structures that could be uprooted by the wind and hit people. It is also recommended to disconnect the electricity and gas mains. 4 hours later, at 20:45, the forecast had been lowered to this, which now shows only a small amount of extreme weather forecast. At 1 a.m., 5 hours later, the forecast was for benign weather for this area of Italy. The DPE Shield has drained the excess energy from the atmosphere, preventing the violent storm. For confirmation, here is a photograph from Naples the same day, where they experienced a tornado and water bombs simultaneously. This photo shows the damage caused in Calabria, which is the same latitude but was not protected by the DPE Shield. This is a dramatic outcome and is entirely consistent with what was expected from the DPE Shield. The following is from a customer who installed a DPE 100 primarily to protect their property from the increased levels of violent storms they have been experiencing in recent years. Their DPE 100 has also had other benefits. We have had a really bad infestation of mosquitoes. Our whole island, by about 3:30 p.m, if you were outside and the mosquitoes liked your blood, it was just terrible, and the bites would last 2 weeks, scratching and itching awfully. The first 12 months we were here, they were not a problem, but for the next 4 years it was always get indoors, because even though we used to spray insect repellent and special candles, it was never enough. Guess what? Last night we sat outside and there wasn't one. I texted my neighbour and he said he didn't notice any either, and believe me, you can't miss them. He was very excited. We haven't had any damage since we installed the DPE a few months ago. Plenty of heavy rain, but no flooding, hail or lightning. Every previous year we have had really bad storms, lightning, floods and super strong winds for this time of the year, but not now. The last time we got hit, it was $28,000 of damage, let alone the fright. Isn't that fantastic? This is so different from what it has been since we came here over 40 years ago. I will take a photo of the outside as it is now, and it is very beautiful and not scary at all like the past years. More importantly, the DPE is very effective if I rest near it for about 3 hours, and that brings my body back into balance that equals body comfort. This shows a shrub displaying significant new growth since the DPE was installed. And this shows an overcast and wet day, but no storms on the water behind their house. This chart shows the results of testing by a German laboratory of the DPE's impact on a range of pathological environmental energies. You can see the first table is looking at energies in the microhertz range. The next table is in the nanohertz range. The reductions are very clear to see. Again, you can see that these frequencies are very low. Now let me turn to the human health outcomes. David, aged 54, lives in Sardinia in Italy as a building contractor and is a highly educated man. For 25 years he has been suffering from uncontrolled tremors and sweats that disrupt his sleep at night. He tried to solve the problem from the medical point of view by spending large sums of money on visits and neurological therapies, but without success. And his condition continued to worsen, and this was creating big problems with concentration in his work. The inventor of the DPE 100 immediately understood that the cause of the problem was electromagnetic pollution. In fact, the person has been living in the same place for 35 years. This pollution is caused by stray electromagnetic currents combined with geopathies. So, with the help of the engineer Professor Elio S., an electronic engineer as well as an industrial electronics expert specialized also in electromagnetic pollution, he went with the inventor to do a verification of the environmental situation and see how the DPE 100 interacted with the electromagnetic pollution. A small hole was dug and the DPE 100 was installed and the device filled with water. A drastic reduction in electromagnetic pollution values was noted, and a further confirmation of the reduction was when Mr. David confirmed that he had slept beautifully and without tremors for the first time, something that had not happened for years. Two children of Francesca T. from Veneto, Italy, presented classic radiation burns where the detachment of significant skin portions occurred with severe pain, insomnia and other effects. The parents had taken them to the best specialist doctors throughout Europe without finding a solution. After many difficulties, the father happened to meet the inventor of the DPE 100, who immediately explained to him that his children had damage due to radiation exposures, and that with a portable version of the DPE 100 with special ground connections, it could immediately solve the problem. Indeed, within 3 days the boys had returned to normal. Needless to say, the parents were skeptical at first because they did not know that high-voltage electrical cables were running under their house, but the strongest emotion was seeing their children completely restored. Their feeling of gratitude was truly profound. Now let me illustrate the effects on plant and animal life. The first example is of a Cardoncello mushroom, which normally grows to 4 to 8 centimeters in size. This one, planted near the DPE shield, has grown to 18 to 25 centimeters and with only 2 rain events in 3 months. This photo shows how the branches of a tree have grown out of line with the others, growing towards the DPE. This shows another tree where the lower limbs on the north side have grown strongly towards the DPE shield, which is contrary to the direction of the sun. This photo shows lavender flowering in the winter on the side towards the DPE shield when it would not normally be flowering. This photo shows leaves from a ficus, one taken prior to the DPE shield installation as it was becoming dormant for winter, the second after the DPE shield was installed, causing the ficus to reinvigorate with larger, healthier leaves than before. The following two photos illustrate the impact on people's emotional state. The first is of graffiti before the DPE was installed, the second after it was installed. A question on many people's minds is, does the DPE technology take care of the emerging 5G interference? The simple answer is yes. A more comprehensive answer is that although the most widely installed bands of 5G are a more efficient use of the existing 3G and 4G bands, which run up to about 5 GHz, the new 5G bands span from 4 GHz to 100 GHz and potentially up to 300 GHz, and these new frequencies are likely to be very damaging to all life. For the DPE, it is just another foreign and interfering bandwidth of energy, and the DPE technology is not frequency limited, other than the specific band of 13.4 Hz, and so it absorbs frequencies which are both lower and very much higher than this protected frequency, including the 5G bands. To help you better understand one of the risks with 5G technology, I share this graph with you, which is taken from the document at the link shown below the graph. It is also linked below this video. What this graph shows us is that the 60 GHz frequency is strongly absorbed by the oxygen molecule O2. This almost complete absorption enables reuse of the 60 GHz bandwidth for many concurrent devices without the need for frequency separation. This is why the 60 GHz band is unlicensed, so it can be used by many devices concurrently, as demonstrated by this frequency reuse range chart. Now, this is all very nice for the communications industry, but the question for us is, how does this affect the behavior of the oxygen molecule, especially in its interaction with the human body and other forms of life? According to research by the DPE developers, the binding of the oxygen molecule to the iron atoms in hemoglobin relies on a low-energy spin of the outer electrons of the oxygen molecule, and the 60 GHz microwave excitation of the oxygen molecule makes the spin too fast for the molecule to bind with the hemoglobin. It has been suspected that this is a factor in the deaths being seen in Wuhan due officially to the Wuhan coronavirus, COVID-19. Wuhan has a high level of 5G installations. This video is one of several making this argument. It is also suspected to be a factor in Italy, where it appears the 5G installations are being supplemented by 60 GHz transmissions from low Earth orbit satellites. New York, which is emerging as a hotspot for the COVID-19 virus in late March 2020, also has a significant 5G network. This map shows the official distribution of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the Puglia region of Italy as of March 23, 2020. This orange spot marks the location of a DPE shield installation right in the middle of the large white patch. The two nearby zones in the 51 to 150 colour are locations where patients have been brought into the local hospitals, so it does not reflect the local population infection rate. This image indicates that the DPE shield is providing protection from the virus. Additionally, this table shows the infection rates by location, and the two locations showing fatalities are both outside of the DPE shield protection zone, suggesting that even if people contract the COVID-19 virus in the area of the DPE shield, they do not die from it because they are able to breathe normal oxygen. The DPE shield protects the oxygen molecule from the abnormal excitation by the 60 GHz microwaves because it preferentially absorbs the microwave energy, running it to ground. This is one clear reason to protect your living environment from the extremes of the 5G millimeter bands using the powerfully grounded DPE technology. As I showed earlier, powerful grounding directly into the earth is essential for effective protection. The following people should consider installing a DPE device. Anyone who knows they suffer from environmental interference such as microwave radiation, cell towers and the like. Anyone who lives in an area where there are potentially violent storms, hurricanes or tornadoes, which are becoming far more widespread. Anyone who wishes to protect their living environment from the encroachment of 5G. Anyone who wishes to reinstate healthy living conditions and create an environment less attractive to disruptive pests and more attractive to bird life and benign insects. Anyone who feels a responsibility to participate in reinstating a viable, long-term biosphere on planet Earth.